So Edward Snowden, is he a hero or is he a traitor? So if I had to pick between one of these two, I would say that he's a hero, or at least that he's definitely not a traitor. Okay, first I'm going to go through an overview of what happened in the Snowden case. So Snowden was working as an analyst for contractors at the National Security Agency. Before that, he was at the CIA. So he witnessed a lot of what was happening with both of those. So later on, in 2013, he decided to release files to the public that revealed that the government was surveilling domestically, so in the law-abiding citizens. So they were doing this through like telecommunications service providers, so watching all the communications, and then they were also doing it through things like Google, Yahoo, and like social media. So they were granted the order to do this by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. So I'll discuss this in a little bit, whether or not that was legal, but they still did not inform the public about what they were doing. He was charged with with 3 felonies. He violated the Espionage Act of 1917, and he was charged with theft of government property. So he was facing up to 30 years in prison, but before he was charged, he fled the U.S., first going to Hong Kong, and then later he sought asylum in Russia, and then as of late last year, he was granted permanent residency in Russia. So, he was not protected under the Whistleblower Protection Act. So that act is in place so that if people working at a company find something harmful or illegal or anything, or like an abuse of power, they can reveal it without repercussions, or steep repercussions. And then that did not cover intelligence agencies until the Presidential Policy Directive in 2012. That protected people in intelligence agencies, but it said that it would protect, like, if people revealed an abuse of power, but it did not protect Snowden when he revealed what he felt to be an abuse of power with the global surveillance. And before that, federal circuits were being like very strict about how they handled whistleblowers in the years before that. And privacy laws. So an important element of privacy laws is that they are transparent and they inform like people of what they're doing with people's data, but the government did not feel like they had to share that, even though it impacted like everyone in the U.S. So he was charged with the Espionage Act, which says that which prohibited getting information with intent or reason to believe that the information may be used for the injury of the United States or to the advantage of any foreign nation. The information he leaked might have helped some foreign nations possibly, but he was careful with how he tried to handle the information, and he did not do it with the intent to harm the United States. He did it with the intent to help citizens in the U.S. And to let them know what was going on. So you could argue that if there was harm done to the United States because a foreign nation got information, Like, was it really Snowden's doing, or was it like the government's fault for hiding all of these things? So last year there was a ruling that said that the activity Snowden exposed may have been unconstitutional, and that it definitely violated the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. So in that way he was sort of vindicated, and it because the court sided with him in this way and said that what they were doing had been wrong. So up to that point, NSA had said that it was not collecting information on Americans at all. So they were very deceptive with how they handled the public and with how they handled this entire information leak. And Snowden wanted society to be informed, and he didn't necessarily want to change the laws surrounding privacy, but he definitely started conversations on it. So now people have more information, and they can be more cautious with their data, and they're more distrustful of the government and like surveillance and how companies handle their data. So this changed perceptions on data privacy, which on one hand, it's not always good to be like distrustful of your government, but this way at least people are informed of what has happened in the past and what so that there's a precedent, so that people can be better informed with how their data is being handled, and just can be more cautious. So arguments against Snowden say that the response to surveillance was blown out of proportion, and that the surveillance was being used to help stop domestic radicals and such, and that it was justified, and so it was un-American of him and dangerous to release the information, because there could have been information about different operations and such that shouldn't have been released, and that could put people in harm's way. But again, you have to weigh, if you want to put this huge value on privacy, then you sort of have to embrace what he did and say, okay, this changed the way that privacy is handled, or changed the way that privacy was viewed. And so what he did could have been dangerous, but so was not releasing this information. And also he did take steps, or at least it seems that he took steps to try to keep dangerous information out of the public eye. And other people have said that he should have stayed and faced what he did, except he could, in the beginning he was anonymous, so he could have tried to remain anonymous, but he chose to come forward, and also he was facing major jail time in the US, in a country where he thought that he did a good thing for it, and he did something that he believed was right. So even if he's not a hero, I don't believe he's a traitor, because he was trying to inform people about something that significantly impacts them. And he can't be completely wrong in his intentions, because there are countries that explicitly state privacy is a human right. So what he did was for the benefit of Matt. Here.